saw this snippy little exchange between Prime Minister Mark Carney and a reporter.
Next question.
Who cares? I mean, it's a detail. It's a detail. I spoke to him. I'll speak to him again when it matters. I mean, the sort of, comme j'ai dit, nous sommes très occupés. Nous sommes très, très occupés avec l'avenir du Canada. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous et avec les nouveaux partenariats. Et il y aura des conversations, oui, avec le président et moi, probablement dans les prochaines 2 semaines. Mais on attend de, I'm always happy to, sorry, I slipped into French because I anticipated the en français thing. I look forward to speaking to the president soon, but I don't have a burning issue to speak with the president about right now. When America wants to come back and have the discussions on the trade side, we will have those discussions.
So just in case you missed it, he was asked by a reporter if he's spoken to U.S. President Donald Trump lately, and he says, who cares? It's just a detail. And then he seems to panic a little bit, so he switches to French, really just, I think, to shut himself up and give him a way out. I think that's what it looked like. And then he stops and calls that the en français thing. So who cares that he hasn't spoken to Trump? I mean, who cares, right? Well, he said he cared. That was pretty much his central campaign platform in the last election. He was the one, the only one, he said, who could handle Donald Trump, who could protect Canada from Trump, who could out-negotiate Trump, because Carney knows how the world really works, he said. Who cares? Well, I'm guessing some folks who work in the auto industry care. Trump has more or less said he's going to move those factories down to the United States from Canada. Who cares? I don't know. There's a lot of people who do, mainly people who voted for him. That would be like a conservative politician saying, who cares about some fundamental conservative issue like reducing the carbon tax or supporting freedom of speech? Imagine if a conservative on a core issue said, oh, who cares? It reminded me, in its childish petulance, of Carney just a week or so ago talking about oil pipelines.
Is this pipeline going to come? So
it's so boring.
It's not actually.
It is. It is because it's. Look, it's. Don't worry, we're on it. We're on it. Like we're on it.
And
but there is this whole world.
Party?
Okay, hands up. Who's working on the pipeline in this room? Okay.
Isn't that a problem?
No. Look at all the variety. Like, Nav, like, does your, like, we have.
Yeah, if there's more prosperity, they'll get more cell phone services.
But look, okay, so what's going to drive, one of the things with, yeah, don't worry, we're on the pipeline stuff. Danielle's on line 1, don't worry, it's going to happen. But, well, something's going to happen, let's put it that way.
Yeah, oil pipelines are boring. Did you know that many things in running a government may seem boring if you're measuring it against, I don't know, jet setting to exotic conferences at 5-star hotels in places around the world like Davos and the World Economic Forum, which is pretty much what Mark Carney did full time until he became prime minister. Sorry to bore you, but even that's not true. You know, you could say oil pipelines are boring, but I just don't think that's accurate. I think they're actually all the rage. Even Brookfield, the company that Carney used to chair, that company in which Carney still has hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stock, they're buying up pipelines like crazy, just not in Canada. They're not that crazy. Oil pipelines are sexy if you care about jobs, if you care about expanding Canadian exports of our most valuable resource, which is oil. Our oil and gas exports are more valuable, are triple as valuable as our entire auto exports. Oil pipelines are a key strategy if you really do want to diversify our exports off the U.S. Because right now, almost all of our oil goes to the U.S. And because we have one dominant customer, the U.S., economists call that a monopsony. Have you ever heard that word? It's sort of the opposite of a monopoly. Monopoly is you have one seller, so they can jack the prices up artificially high, because what are you going to do? In a monopsony, it's a funny word, you have a lot of sellers, but just one buyer, the United States. So prices are artificially low. So if we actually had a new pipeline to the Pacific coast where we could sell oil to Japan, Korea, India, Taiwan, you'll notice I didn't say communist China, even though they would surely want to buy it too. If we sold it to all the democracies of Asia, not only would we increase exports, but it would allow Canadian oil producers to get paid at world prices rather than at a landlocked deep discount to world prices, which is what Canada gets right now. So it would be a double win. More oil sales at a higher price, and American destined oil would get a higher price too. So yeah, sorry to bore you, Prime Minister, sort of be so boring. We can't all be as exciting and super cool as you talking about carbon capture or other complete BS that no one would actually buy were it not for fake green subsidies or government mandates. Pipelines are boring to Mark Carney because there's something that the real world already does. The real world demands pipelines, the real world supplies pipelines. Private companies do it all. There's no role for the government, no need for the government other than imposing red tape on it. Whereas his schemes always seem to involve government investments, that is, subsidies like carbon capture or wind turbines. It's all fake. There would be no real market for any of that unless the government was involved. Mark Carney hates oil pipelines because they don't need him. He just gets in the way, doesn't he? So they make him feel unimportant. He's revealed to be an economic imposter. You support oil pipelines? If you do, you're boring. Has Trump called you? Oh, who cares? Yeah, I think he's sort of giving it away like a poker tell. He's easily irritated when things aren't going his way, isn't he? He gives it away like that time he chided the CBC's Rosemary Barton, who made the grave mistake, a mistake she has never repeated, I might add, of actually once asking Mark Carney about his conflict of interest. Remember that?
The rules say that those assets should be publicly disclosed within 120 days, which means you'll campaign in a coming federal election, most likely within the next 120 days, and are serving as Prime Minister now, with Canadians not being aware of what potential conflicts of interest you sought to avoid.
What possible conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance. Point final.
Are you saying you are not open to any conflict of interest?
Yes.
Trump spent most of his life in the private sector. There's no possible conflict of interest in your assets. It's very difficult to believe.
Look inside yourself, Rosemary. I mean, you start from a prior of conflict and ill will.
Do you see the pattern here? Mark Carney loses his cool and gets chippy and snippy and snappy when he's frustrated, when he's asked about something he doesn't have a good answer to. Oil pipelines, stop bothering him. Trump, shut up. Conflict of interest, look inside yourself, Rosemary. Carney says he doesn't care that he can't get a phone call from Donald Trump. Do you believe him? I think he cares very much. The entire rest of the world is lined up to meet with Donald Trump. Just in the last week, Trump has had a state dinner for the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. He met with the new mayor of New York City. He had a phone call with the UK's Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. He's working, even today, on the Ukraine-Russia peace deal. I think Vladimir Zelensky is in Washington today, if I'm not mistaken. Trump does occasionally travel to other countries once in a while, but most of the time people come to him. It's the opposite for Carney. Very few world leaders will come to Ottawa. He's the one flying around the world nonstop for quick photo ops, and his message is always that Canada doesn't really need the United States. Now, I don't know who he's trying to convince of that, but if it's an attempt to use reverse psychology on the Americans, I don't think it's working. I don't think anyone in Washington even notices. Carney does odd things. Like he suggested Canada will rip up our contract that we signed with the United States 2 years ago to buy F-35 fighter jets. And instead, he's considering buying less capable, much older fighter jets made in Sweden. I can only imagine the billions of dollars in penalties that ripping up a contract with the F-35 manufacturers would cost. But really, the bigger cost obviously would be hardening Trump's heart even more in terms of trade deals and the auto industry. So yeah, who cares, he says. Well, I don't know if Carney is temperamentally fit for the job. I think he's failed upwards again and again in life. Now he's being promoted to the level of his incompetence. I don't think it's a good look.